They say justice is blind. But trust me, sometimes she just squints at a contract from 1963, then smiles and hands you the dynamite. You ever watch someone destroy themselves and have no idea you're just standing there waiting? That's how this whole mess started. I mean, who bans a family snowmobile trail on a Tuesday at 3 p.m., right before dinner, right before my kids' hockey practice, then posts the video online like she's just won a Nobel Peace Prize in ruining neighborly goodwill? That was Vivian Blackthorne. Yeah, that name sounds like she eats caviar for breakfast and sues people for sport. And honestly, you wouldn't be wrong. There she was, HOA president, filming herself in designer boots, stomping all over the only trail connecting our family's land to the Montana backcountry. Smirk glued to her face, chairlift spinning behind her, concrete truck roaring away. Burying 60 years of gravel and memories under a fresh slab of smug. And you better believe she posted it everywhere. Victory dance for the ages. No more redneck noise pollution, she'd announced. Laughed about silencing the locals, never realizing the only thing she'd actually silenced was her own good fortune. What she didn't know, that little celebration clip was about to become the most expensive post in HOA history. She thought she was ending our trail, but really she just handed me the keys to end her entire empire. I'm Garrett Thornfield. Been fixing broken things 30 years now. Engines, people's problems, busted tractors, you name it. But there are some things you shouldn't need to fix, like the kind of handshake deal your granddad made after crawling through Nazi gunfire and living to tell about it. My dad passed in 2018, left me 47 acres of rocky, wild Montana land, soil so rough it'll chew up your boots if you look at it wrong, but also something priceless, a snowmobile trail easement connecting our property to 12,000 acres of forest. The only mountain pass for 60 miles, and my grandfather Ezra fought 5 years for that trail. Not with bullets, he'd had enough of those, but with lawyers, surveys, and a brand of stubbornness only men who've watched buddies die for freedom can carry. Every winter, as a kid, I'd wake to the growl of snowmobiles bouncing off granite cliffs. That sound meant everything was right. Pine sap and two-stroke exhaust, Christmas rides to the backcountry, summer evenings fixing trail markers while Grandpa Ezra showed me how to read a survey by kerosene lamp. This trail ain't just for fun, boy, he'd say, tracing his calloused finger over a deed line. It's about keeping the mountains free for mountain people. 40 families depended on that trail. It was hunting, recreation, emergency access. Without it, getting to the backcountry was a 90-mile detour, 3 hours instead of 20 minutes. Every January, we'd host Ezra's Run, a memorial ride for Grandpa's legal victory. Tradition. Sweat. Generations of stewardship. Then along comes Vivian Blackthorne, like a plague in heels. Moved in March 2023, bought a $2.8 million executive retreat right next door. San Francisco transplant, 20 years in corporate law, specializing in regulatory optimization, which is rich people talk for crushing small folks with paperwork. 6 months later, she's HOA president of Glacier Ridge Mountain Estates. Only 12 members, mostly wealthy city folks who thought our mountain charm was cute until they decided it needed improvements. Vivian had big plans. She complained about snowmobile noise messing with her meditation practice. Claimed our trail dropped her property value. Said she wanted a wildlife sanctuary, but it was just code for private hiking trails, locking out the locals. Trouble started in October. You could smell it, a mix of expensive cologne and entitlement. At first, she was all friendly. Knocked on my door with store-bought cookies, briefcase in hand. Mr. Thornfield, maybe we can discuss a mutually beneficial arrangement regarding that noisy trail. I told her, politely but firm, the trail wasn't negotiable. Been in my family longer than she's been alive. Her plastic smile cracked like thin ice. 2 weeks later, certified mail. Morrison Keller and Associates, her high-end San Francisco law firm. The paper was thicker than steakhouse napkins, reeked of her perfume and arrogance. Cease all trail use immediately or face $500 daily fines plus legal costs. Claimed our 1963 easement was invalid under new environmental regulations. Fiction, but the kind of fiction you pay $800 an hour for. It worked. 3 local families stopped using the trail out of fear. The Snowmobile Club panicked. They couldn't afford a legal war against San Francisco money. 60 years of tradition, crumbling because one entitled transplant decided mountain people didn't deserve mountain access. But Vivian made a critical mistake. She thought we were too poor, too dumb, too tired to fight. She'd never met a family that keeps receipts going back to World War II. 3 weeks later, I was welding a cracked axle when I heard diesel up the mountain. Some guy in a hard hat, official magnets on his truck, setting up survey equipment like he owned the place. Morning, I called, wiping grease on my jeans. You got permission to be here? Environmental boundary assessment, he replied. Corporate speak for, we're about to steal your land with fake paperwork. He spent 3 days trampling around, taking pictures, moving survey stakes, acting like he was documenting war crimes. On Thursday, I found him hammering markers 15 feet inside my property. Not a mistake, deliberate theft. Mind if I check your credentials? His face turned white as snow. Turns out, his surveyor's license expired 2 years ago. His gear looked suspiciously like Harbor Freight specials. When I called his business, the number was disconnected. In the Army, we learned using fake credentials to access restricted areas is serious federal time. Didn't matter if it was military secrets or property lines, fraud is fraud. But this surveyor handed me something better than evidence. He gave me ammunition. That night, I put a trail cam up, a hunting trick, motion activated, uploads to my phone. Patience, Grandpa used to say. Sometimes the best move is waiting. Friday morning, Vivian's black BMW rolled up, boots clicking on gravel. She met the fake surveyor, handed him an envelope thick enough to choke a horse. I don't care what it costs, she said, clear as day on my mic, move those markers wherever you need. These people don't understand property law. There it was, arrogance, and the $5,000 bonus for creative interpretations. Monday, I called the state licensing board. Video audio slam dunk. State investigators came Tuesday. Fake surveyor faced charges within a week. Vivian's deed went under investigation. Her insurance company started sweating. Local paper picked it up. City lawyer versus mountain family. Town diner buzzed like a kicked hornet's nest. But the investigation turned up something bigger. That fake surveyor started talking fast when he heard 10 years prison. Vivian wasn't just an overzealous retiree. She was a front for Pinnacle Resort Development Corporation shell companies, million-dollar land grabs, laser focus on controlling forest access. Her BMW burning rubber down my drive sounded like retreat, but I knew city types just regroup. Phase 2 was coming. That hit like a sledgehammer in a lab coat. One morning, taped to my door, Montana Department of Environmental Quality, emergency investigation. 47 pages of fiction, with expert testimony from Dr. Marcus Fieldstone, Ph.D. Photos of devastating erosion, endangered flowers. Funny, since the plastic price tags from Home Depot were still visible on the stems. The demand, shut down the trail, pending a year-long environmental study. The state inspector showed up, Dakota Rivers, clipboard in hand, ready to see a disaster. Instead, she found a pristine trail, 40 years of family stewardship, hand-dug drainage, native grasses, barriers. "Where's the damage?" she asked, more confused than judgmental. I handed her my dad's records, decades of soil tests, surveys. Federal law's clear, you need evidence, not hypotheticals, to close an easement. Then came the twist. Those rare alpine flowers? They were Home Depot petunias, price tags and all. Dakota nearly choked trying not to laugh. A real state scientist came out the next day, Dr. Vasquez, and her report gutted Vivian's case. No evidence of damage, soil cleaner than most yards. But Vasquez found something chilling. The fake report included detailed topographical and soil data, perfect for construction planning, not environmental protection. Vivian's whole scam was just prepping for a private resort expansion. Vivian arrived, reeking of desperation and perfume. Tried to bribe Dakota with consulting opportunities. When that didn't work, she threatened Dr. Vasquez. "I hope your university values its funding." The investigation revealed Vivian's true agenda. Shell companies had bought 847 acres, $15 million invested, all contingent on eliminating our trail. Dakota's report landed like an avalanche, complaint dismissed, fake scientist charged with fraud. Even the environmental groups apologized for backing Vivian's corporate masquerade. At this point, the town meetings were shouting matches. Vivian's mask had slipped. Recorded phone calls surfaced. "I don't care about environmental protection. I need legal leverage." But she wasn't done. Phase 3 arrived. 3 lawsuits in 3 courts, state, federal, administrative, all designed to bankrupt us in legal fees. The centerpiece? An ADA violation, claiming our family trail discriminated against the disabled because it wasn't wheelchair accessible on a 40-degree mountain slope. Either rebuild the trail or pay millions in penalties. For a second, I'll admit, I felt the weight. 47 grand in legal costs. Insurance companies threatening, the bank hinting I should just settle and be practical. But Vivian's last mistake was assuming we didn't know the law. ADA doesn't apply to wilderness trails established pre-1990. I'd learned that helping a buddy with VA benefits. Plus, private easements like ours were grandfathered. The local disabled veterans group rallied. "This woman doesn't speak for us," said Tom Hensley, double amputee. Crowdfunding, local lawyers, the American Legion, everyone stepped in. Our defense fund grew faster than Vivian could file motions. Her side? They got sloppy. Filed in the wrong jurisdiction. Judge Morrison lit them up. "This court will not tolerate exploitation of disability rights as corporate weapons." Lawsuits dismissed, sanctions imposed, 89 grand to our defense fund. And then, in the corporate documents, thanks to court-ordered discovery, I found it. Subsection 47C of Alpine Holdings Charter. Pinnacle had $47 million riding on this. The whole resort expansion, every booking, every chairlift, depended on exclusive access. But, here's the kicker, Grandpa Ezra's 1963 contract included a reciprocal access clause. If they breached the trail agreement, all road access for the resort was terminated. He'd set a legal bear trap. So when Vivian poured that concrete, filming her little victory dance, thinking she'd ended our story, she triggered the clause. Material breach. Road access revoked. The entire $47 million operation suddenly was worth nothing. You want cinematic? Picture this, January 15th, Martin Luther King Day, 6 a.m. me, 12 veterans, steel posts and road closed signs. Snow falling, pine trees creaking. The first resort employee finds the blockade, panic spreads. By breakfast, 4,000 skiers realize they're trapped. Chairlift silent. Champagne chilling for a victory party that turns into a bankruptcy wake. Vivian rolls up in a limousine, lawyers behind her, sweating bullets in $2,000 jackets. "You can't do this," she screams. I pull out the contract. Breach our trail, lose your road access. Basic contract law. Maybe your law school missed that day. Sheriff Martinez, the FBI news crews, everyone's there. Vivian gets cuffed for bribery and conspiracy. Lawyers panic. Reporters film David versus Goliath for national TV. Pinnacle stock crashes, insurance is canceled, employees are stuck on the wrong side of the mountain. Dr. Vasquez delivers a court order. Remove the concrete. Trail restored within 24 hours. That afternoon, the sound of the first snowmobile echoes over the cliffs, sweetest music I've ever heard. 6 months later, Vivian's in federal prison. 3 years, $2.3 million in restitution. Pinnacle is bankrupt. The resort sells at a loss to the Rocky Mountain Conservation Trust. Local ownership now, never again locked out. Trail traditions return. Ezra Thornfield's memorial ride draws 400 riders, laughter, barbecue smoke, mountain music. And the lesson? Sometimes the greatest revenge is patience. Let them underestimate you. Let them get loud, desperate, cruel. Keep your cool. Let them dig their own hole. The mountain doesn't care about their money or their arrogance. But here's what gets me every time. All those corporate types, celebrating, plotting, improving, never understood what they were up against. Not just a man with a contract, but a community with roots deeper than any investor's pocket. Justice, in the end, is just keeping your word and letting karma handle the rest. So let me ask you, ever had someone push and push trying to make you snap? Did you give them what they wanted, or did you wait and let them wreck themselves? Where's the line between standing up for what's right and just letting the world turn until justice comes around? I'd love to hear your story. Drop your thoughts below. Let's talk about justice, pride, and how you handled it when the world tried to take what was yours.